Hi, I'm Blazer for Hire and welcome to a new series, So Cursed. In this mini-series, I'll be taking your and others' least favorite blocks, making a cursed block palette and building something beautiful. Today's So Cursed block is Stripped Bamboo. So the story with this is I was in Hey It's Emmy's Discord and we were giving our least favorite blocks. I'm not sure if I have a quote-unquote least favorite block yet. However, stripped bamboo was mentioned and kind of got my gears turning, and I actually thought of a block palette that I kind of really wanted to use. So this is a 21 by 21 area, which I want to go over why I chose all of these blocks. The reason I've chosen these blocks has to do with the way that I perceive blocks. A common way I choose blocks are texture and noise, but another being the color it's made up of. Instead of looking at a block as one color, I see them as having about three. There are exceptions like Tough, where I see them containing more, and some have less, like some of the cherry blocks we have. In my opinion, I see stripped bamboo as yellow, green, and brown. Stripped birch logs as brown, yellow, and pink. Stripped pale oak as mostly white and pink. Birch leaves as green and yellow. Stripped cherry logs as pink and orange. I know, strange. Honey as yellow, orange, and maybe brown. Cherry planks as pink and white. Cherry bark as purple, brown, and maybe some blue. And cherry leaves as pink and white with elements of green. Each of these blocks share one color with another block in the palette at some quantity, making these blocks a great combination in my opinion. My plan is to do something that is sort of a house, but I guess you're gonna kind of find out as I go also. So I guess I will see you in a bit. First, I'm starting with the skeleton of the house and using stripped bamboo as this major block I intend on using. I want to ensure that I'm using plenty of it early on, so when I go to change blocks out later, I don't end up with a build which hardly contains any stripped bamboo. In creative, I sort of go willy-nilly when freestyling things like this, just as you would when making a brain dump and brainstorming when writing. Nothing is permanent, but I want to work at the flow of thought and use the internal critique when I'm making final decisions on different elements such as the roof. And I totally didn't get distracted in building the decoration before I got the walls in because, that would make things more complicated than it needs to be. Just, don't decorate before you put in the walls because that just makes things harder than they need to be. I totally wouldn't do that. I had an idea that on the side of the house and back around the house, I was going to do a wraparound deck. One little set of stairs that goes to the side of the house, and then the deck kind of also leads to the back, and it would be a nice area for barbecuing and whatnot. However, later I did change my mind as I didn't like how much open space there actually was, so I decided to split the deck into a back deck and a side entrance. The side entrance being for the front door, and then the back potentially a garden/sunroom off the house. However, later I decided to make the sunroom into a greenhouse because, plants. I love plants. Which, speaking of the roof, I was going for something different, but realized it didn't give me the shape I was wanting, so I tore it down, replacing it with a more substantial roof. Then proceeded to tear that down because the roof looked a bit too comically sized for what I was imagining. After modifying the roof shape, I decided I wanted the roof to be made of stripped bamboo instead of stripped cherry logs. Although I think the cherry logs would look nice, I really want the stripped bamboo wherever I can. I don't want it to feel like I'm trying to hide that I use stripped bamboo, especially when I go to add more details and foliage. The main component of this build is supposed to be stripped bamboo. After that, I added some detailing on the roof's center beam and added honeycomb blocks to the window. Another great option could also be stripped pale oak, but I really wanted to use honeycomb because I really like the block, and I also subbed the birch for cherry as I wanted to add something that would add some more separation between the birch and bamboo. I felt that it was a bit too much birch and blended in more than I wanted it to. I decided to change out the birch on the walls for stripped cherry logs. Oh, hey look, Izzy's in this video. Anyway, I preferred the stripped cherry logs over the birch. I was already using it for the floor, again, similar to the roof. I didn't want it to blend in so much, so that's what I used. I also added more depth with the little alcove and added more ladders so you could get to the upstairs. Also added some light. I like shroom lights because plants. And I added yellow windows because I wasn't a fan of red windows. I also tried to add more shape to the inside of the roof so it felt less like, oh, I'm upstairs, which is where the roof is. I wanted it to feel more like a room and less like an attic. I also decided to add some planks along with the logs to add a little more texture variation. That's something that I love doing in my builds now. Oftentimes I would swap between many of these tasks, and one of them being the exterior. I really love doing exterior on builds because, I mean, come on, plants. Anyway, I placed streams of foliage flowing off the roof and failing to remember that glowberries don't place on leaves, and making mixed cherry birch bushes outside. And after that, I worked on a bonsai-esque cherry tree with a little pond. I tried going for something that was a weeping shape. However, the scale I was going for was not working in my favor, and, well, you see, the way that I go about building is I'm pretty sporadic, so I kind of switch between things when I'm like unsure what to do with one thing, and then I switch to another. So I wasn't sure about it at first. I was like, I don't know, this is really crazy looking, but now that I've looked at this for a while, I actually kind of like how it turned out. Is it crazy? 100%, it is absolutely crazy, but I'm kind of loving it. I added this bit because I just feel like it needed a little more depth. I'm trying to push myself to use less symmetry because I know a lot of what I do, it's very helpful to do something that's asymmetrical, and it seems to improve a lot of the things that I do is like break the habit of keeping everything symmetrical. I could also make this the entrance. Slab this up. So this is on this level instead. And then put the door there. I still need a door here to access this, but it gives this door a use. And there's still two doors to access the inside. So, interiors. Lastly was the interiors. I was excited about it, but also dreading the interiors, because for me, I felt like this is where everything could go wrong. I not that long ago, building in creative was a struggle for me, and right now, interiors are now my struggle. I like things to be beautiful, but it really needs to be functional first. So, interiors, yeah. And the grand reveal in 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! I think it turned out much better than even I thought it would. I don't know what to say, frankly. Except for I really like how it turned out. My interior design leaves much to be desired, but I want to show you around. Welcome to the bamboo abode. I did not stick with the pale wood. I didn't find myself like really desperately needing it. Yes, it turned out to be a very cute house. This 100% looks like a house that LD Shadow Lady would live in. Just saying. It's there's plenty of pink to go around, but I am totally okay with it. So we have the little staircase here. I kept it pretty plain. Then it goes all the way to the greenhouse, which I'll show you the greenhouse. You walk in, little bit of foliage, dead foliage, and we got some plants, your armor to drop off, crafting table, a little seating area, ladder, we'll get there. And then I tried to make a kitchen area, and then a little like dining seat, alcove, and the sort of gardening materials, a seed pouch, a gardening set of clothes, which that blue shirt is kind of a nod to the blue shirt that I constantly wear when I go out to do gardening stuff. It's like my favorite blue shirt. I know, I'm odd. A shovel and some candles, cause ambience. We got the potting area. I didn't end up doing a seating area. However, we've got, the potting bench with plenty of storage and a flower pot, some soil, plant clippings, and dried up plant clippings. We got some plants, ones that need lots of sun. Technically, azaleas don't actually need that much sun, but it's a side note. Mushrooms also don't need a lot of sun, so realistically they'd be like underneath or somewhere in your basement, but also mushrooms. This would realistically be really smelly and not something you would want to do, but I didn't have enough room outside. I put a compost area inside, and it has brown dye, which is for the soil, and rotten flesh for the stuff that's decaying, and some more extra plants that are extra large, the other way to get out of the house, and garden bed area that's right outside the house that's raised. We got wheat, we have pink petals, pink tulips, and we have, it's jungle wood, but I'm using it as like undecomposed soil, so like fresh compost, which I feel like it looks like fresh compost. And then brown carpet, moss carpet, and leaf litter to look like grass, soil, and dead leaves all coming from outside. Then we have the cauldron, which I am going to fill with water because that's gonna bug me that it's not filled with water. That is intended to be a sort of wash basin that you could wash and dry like fruits and vegetables, realistically. Oh, I should have put beets out there. That would have been cool. Anyway, not the point. Point is a washing area slash like an area where you could like, in theory, this is like a hose and you pull it out to water all the plants and whatnot. That's a fridge, oven, sink, cutting board with residual chopping juices. Storage. Just chaotic storage. And a giant pink bed with beautiful leaves falling down. And yes, I used moss carpet because I like foliage. So, does it make sense? No. Do I like it? Yes. Then, on the outside, I've got plenty of flowers and bushes. I textured the grass with some moss blocks. I do have a texture pack that if you look out, you can kind of see there's like little flowers and clovers, and occasionally there's like little rocks. Also added flowers, birch leaves and cherry leaves. We have like a wood stockpile to burn wood, even though I didn't put a fireplace in there. Pink tulips, alliums, lily of the valley, and we did all those details all the way around. And then I did a bonsai-ish type, and then I did like an itty-bitty pond. I like how it turned out. Some buttons for stones and a pillar to be like a boulder. And I did both cobble and mossy, but I did a lot of mossy. Oh, I also did cherry leaves on the top, kind of draping over, because again, leaf spam, that's my favorite. I kind of really love how it turned out. I wasn't expecting it to turn out as good as it did, in my opinion. I'm sure it's not the most extravagant of builds, but I would say I accomplished my goal of making bamboo look nice in this block palette, and as crazy as the block palette I chose was, at least to me, it turned out good. And it's a house that you could actually make functional, and if you really wanted to, like, you could stick a trap door here, go into swim mode, and do like fun stuff with underneath the house as like a secret area to work on. So I'm sad to say this is actually the end of episode 1 of So Cursed, the mini building series where I take your and others' least favorite blocks, making a cursed block palette and building something beautiful. If you've made it this far, I want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you liked this video as much as I did making it, because I know I did. If you have any block suggestions, put them down in the comment section below, and if you don't want to miss the next video, click the subscribe button to get notified. My name's Blazer for Hire, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.